Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of The F Word, brought to you by Entertain Facts, the weekly podcast show where we discuss all things entertainment. With me, as always, is the CEO and founder of Entertain Facts, Anthony.
What is up, guys? Thank you for coming back.
And I am simply G. Yesterday, what did we do, Anthony? We did something special. We went and saw Spider-Man, correct?
Homecoming.
We saw Spider-Man Homecoming. We do have a review up on YouTube, so check that out. It's starting a non-spoiler review, and then it transitions into a spoiler review, but we give you some time. There's a transition as well.
It's in the description, so if you want to go straight to the spoiler, want to know when to stop, it's easy to figure it out.
Yeah, and we literally yesterday we went, saw the movie, came back, and recorded it, so it was all fresh in our minds. But we have a lot of topics on today, a lot of movie news, we got some wrestling news, and we're going to be talking about our favorite video games. But first, again, for those of you before you go over to our Spider-Man review, we're just going to talk about it because it is Spider-Man weekend, and
Big week.
It's a huge week, and we've been waiting for this for a while. Spider-Man's back, more or less back in the Marvel family.
For now, at least.
For now, and it's been paying off. I mean, the movie was good.
It was, and it's been making bank.
It's going to make so much money. It's going to make a ton of money. And I'm actually kind of worried for War of the Planet of the Apes because I'm really, really looking forward to that movie, but it's still going up against Spider-Man, which is getting good reviews. And it's a legitimately good movie. We're not going to talk, obviously, any spoilers here. Again, we have our review on YouTube. Go over there, ring that notification bell so whenever our shows come up, you get a chance to get them firsthand. But again, non-spoiler and spoilers all over there. But overall, any thoughts, again, non-spoiler thoughts that you liked?
I just liked how the humor and the action and all that, just everything was well balanced in this Marvel movie. In my opinion, at least. I know some people are saying it was over the top with the humor, it got old fast. But that's Spider-Man. That's what he does. He talks smack in the middle of fighting, and he occasionally gets smacked.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a wise, cracking crime fighter. He always has been. Anytime that he's in a situation, there is some quip that he has. It's part of who he is. For those of you also that are worried, that don't know, yes, in the trailers, Iron Man was heavy in the trailers, but it's not, he doesn't take away from Spider-Man himself. This is a very Spider-Man movie, and actually I was thinking about it more today. It's a very Spider-Man and Vulture movie.
Yeah. Because
the villain, this is the first time probably, I think most people will unanimously say this is a good villain. You may not say he's great. I thought he was great.
Same. Michael Keaton did a great job.
He did an amazing job. But for the most part, it's a good villain. Finally, a good villain. And yesterday in the review, I said I put this somewhere around that, the Guardians of the Galaxy, my ranking, that either 5 or 6 or so. And the reason for that is because Ronan in that, really you forgot about him because you were so focused on the team, which was great because they're the Guardians of the Galaxy and they did such a good job with them. But, the stakes weren't always there. You just liked watching them have fun. In this one, Michael Keaton's character was ever present in everything. You knew, you felt it in the back of your mind, much like Spider-Man felt it in the back of his, which was really, really great.
I guess you'd say your spider sense was tingling throughout the movie.
Actually, speaking of that, I mean, it's a pretty decent line, one of your better ones. But
Transition.
The director was talking about it this week, about how his spider sense won't really be present in the movie. And this isn't a spoiler. It's all over the place. You can find it on Instagram. You can find it in many publications. I didn't miss it. It really wasn't there. Until just like you said, until after you're kind of like, oh yeah.
To be fair, he was learning the suit, he was learning his powers, but it made more sense to me that he didn't really have it constantly going off, because he'd be like, well, what is this? Yeah,
and that was the cool thing too. And we said it in the review. You felt like you were learning how to be Spider-Man with him. At least that's what I felt like. So while he's trying to balance everything and trying to be a hero, he was still a kid learning the ropes.
And to be fair, this was his big first villain encounter, because he was kind of just dealing with kittens and trees, getting free churros, robberies.
Yeah, exactly. He was just pretty much kind of doing little, little things, right? And then he finally, meets someone that's definitely his match.
Yeah.
Not only in a villain, but even just as a personality, because Michael Keaton's an actor that can stand toe to toe with anybody. And again, you're learning how to be Spider-Man with him while he's learning, again, the suit, like you saw in the trailers where it's got 500 different applications and he's learning that. So it almost was that, you know, the Spider-Sense part, which is funny because he did kind of have it in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice in Civil War, in the airport sequence, the one he was actually in, there was a point where I think it was Bucky that threw something at him.
And he dodged it.
And he just, his back was turned, he noticed something, and then he ducked. So he kind of had it then. And this is set after Civil War. But still, it was cool having it because he was kind of blocked by trying to be an Avenger,
mm-hmm.
but still having to learn how to be, you know, that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, as Tony Stark said.
With a villain like played by Michael Keaton, a guy who's known to like not joke around. Like, he actually hates jokers.
Mm-hmm. And
the Batman
and
hates
Birdman.
jokers.
Well, and that was the cool thing. That's what I like the most about seeing Michael Keaton in this, is because he was Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Then he played Birdman. He was in Birdman. Sorry.
He evolved like a Pokemon.
Yeah, pretty close. And Birdman, if you haven't had a chance to see it, watch it. Not only is it just incredible from a cinematography standpoint, because it looks, the whole movie, the whole camera's moving the entire time, but just Michael Keaton as a character who's, you know, his alter ego. Oh, sorry about that. His alter ego is this person, or this old superhero that he used to be, and now he's trying to be a legitimate artist, and it's kind of haunting him. And then now he's this, you know, he was Birdman in that one, and now he's the Vulture, but he did great. And again, he was menacing. One
thing I did notice in the theater, but I kind of forgot about it at the end, is it starts off in like 2012, right after the Avengers, then it transitions to present day, but it says like 8 years later.
Right.
So wouldn't that be like 2020?
Well, I think the way that it worked was, again, not wanting to give up too much. The timeline's a little bit there because there's parts of it that involve, obviously, the very first thing with the Avengers. Mm-hmm. They kind of, you know, they tease, or they have in there the damage control line.
Yeah.
Again, not a major spoiler, but they kind of tease some of that. But the timeline, you know, it wasn't too bad. Again, I think my only gripe with the movie would be, thinking about the timeline, maybe, sure, but I mean, it was very minor. The other thing was maybe just the pacing.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times when the movie slowed down, it was to build character. Could the movie have been maybe 10 minutes shorter? Sure. I would say 10 or 15, but I had so much fun watching it that it didn't really matter. I was never looking at my watch saying, when is this over?
But like, for me, my perspective is I saw Civil War, and I saw it the next day just to see Spider-Man again.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a Spider-Man guy. I want to see all these movies all the time, like yearly.
You had the double dose. It's funny, actually, speaking of, you know, when you're watching Civil War and where Spider-Man fits in to the universe, again, not going to give anything away, of course, but, you know, obviously we know he's going to be in Infinity War. We know he's going to be in further ones. What's funny, I think, is that they stopped giving Tom Holland the script for Infinity War. He's not allowed to. Mm-hmm. I saw that in this week, just because he's been kind of...
Well, he's too excited.
He's very excited, yeah. And so they've kind of stopped giving him any more information involving Infinity War in fear of him actually saying something that he shouldn't.
He like revealed in an interview that something, I won't spoil it just in case you haven't heard this, but it was during the first encounter with the Vulture, something happens. If you've seen the movie, you kind of know where he does something happens to him, and he revealed that his stunt double had to do it, and he basically gave away the whole scene. And he was so embarrassed. But that was kind of like the physical body for Darth Vader, how he went to a Comic-Con or something like that, and he said like, yeah, I'm his dad, I'm Luke's dad.
Yeah.
And he got banned from every single Comic-Con Star Wars was at.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. He's a young kid. I know
everyone slips up.
Everyone does, and if I was Tom Holland, I would be so excited. Also in the movie, his friend, again, what was his name?
Ned.
The character's name is Ned, but he is one of the best characters in the movie. He is awesome, doesn't overstay his welcome, and yeah, he's just hilarious.
Also, something just to wrap this up for Spider-Man, something I heard about today actually was Ned Leeds is the comic character for one of the Hobgoblins.
Okay.
I don't think he'll turn into the Hobgoblin just by, just guessing randomly,
right.
But it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, his character is pulled from the Miles Morales timeline. Like, he's actually Miles Morales' friend and stuff. But yeah, no, really good movie. Again, if you want our full non-spoiler, and if you've seen the movie, our full spoiler review, we put that up this morning.
Yeah.
It went up around this morning, so check that out. Again, leave your comments. I'd love to know what you guys think of the show so far. And if you want to email us any questions, you can always go to the F-word podcast at gmail.com. Go on Facebook at...
I believe there'll be a link in the bio, but I've had some trouble with it, but it's up now. I believe it's the F-word podcast.
We have it under the F-word podcast. So, yeah, last week we were talking about a Facebook page. We're probably going to be going on SoundCloud pretty damn soon.
Probably by next week, hopefully.
And then iTunes as well. We're already on there, so that's been going pretty good too. So, we're going to run through some news here. Let's get this show started. Kevin Feige this week said in an interview with the Toronto Sun that shooting on an Infinity War is almost done. They are 73 days out of a 90-day completion. So that movie's set for May 14, 2018. He also talked about how the second Infinity War will be closing out a 22-movie arc, which it's almost become its own TV series.
Time flies.
It's crazy. And then Spider-Man being the one that we were talking about, being the one to usher in the new Avengers going forward after Infinity War Part 2, or, I mean, it's not going to be Part 2. They haven't named it yet. Fox is also reporting a 6-movie slate, which we believe to be, so far, what we're seeing is New Mutants. We're looking at possibly Gambit, even though that's been in production hell for a very long time. X-Force.
Yeah.
Most likely a Deadpool 3. But there's also teases of possibly a Fantastic Four reboot, which no one wants.
Unless they do it right.
Yeah, but it's tough to do. If you really want to, just watch The Incredibles. That's probably the closest.
Just get them to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing with them is, I understand it. If they don't do one, they lose the rights. The thing with rights is there's always a timeline to it. So if they don't do a Fantastic Four one, all of that goes back to Marvel.
Yeah.
Now, Marvel will probably never use the Fantastic Four. Even Kevin Feige, I don't think, has said that he wants to use them. But think about characters. Well, think about Galactus. Who's going to be the next big... Think about the next big bad after Thanos, right? So you've got Galactus. Silver Surfer could still be done. There's lots of ancillary characters that come with these packages. We got Fantastic Beasts 2 that started shooting this week. First one, lukewarm reception.
I think I started the movie, but I got bored. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan.
So that might do it. I know some people that like Harry Potter that loved it. Some people that like Harry Potter that, were lukewarm about it. But, it could be a situation where the second one might end up superseding the first. And you've got it.
Spider-Man 2.
Again, Spider-Man 2. Again, we're talking Tobey Maguire one, not the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Matt Reeves talks about possibly doing a Batman trilogy, which will be really interesting. Hellboy to start shooting. So they're redoing Hellboy. They're looking to start shooting in the fall under Lionsgate. And if you don't know who Lionsgate is, they are a company that produce shows or movies like The Hunger Games, John Wick, and Divergent. Hunger Games being one of their biggest tentpole, but now that that's gone, they need to find a new
John Wick's a new rising movie franchise, I guess.
I cannot stop talking about John Wick.
I haven't seen the second yet.
I would highly, highly recommend it. It was great. It doesn't have the same, I guess, I don't want to say anything, it doesn't have the same heart as the first one, which is probably for a good thing, because a lot of people gave them backlash for the, killing off a dog. Yeah. Really, in the first one. The movie's been out for a while. If you haven't seen it now, then you're probably not going to. But the second one is it's a ride. It is incredible from start to finish. But they've got director Neil Marshall for the Hellboy reimagining. He's a director of Westworld. He also did the TV show Hannibal, which is very good. If you get a chance to check it out, I think it's still on Netflix.
It is.
And he also did a couple episodes of Game of Thrones.
From 2012 to 2014, yeah.
Yeah, and one in particular, he did the Blackwater episode, which I think a lot of people... It was a great episode.
Well, which episode isn't great in Game of Thrones?
That's true. Well,
there's some that are boring, but they're still good.
See, for me, we'll talk more Game of Thrones probably later. But yeah, so Neil Marshall directing. David Harbour from Stranger Things. He did really good in that. He's going to be the new Hellboy, so looking really good. Next, we've got Assassin's Creed anime.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed anime show. I believe it was from the guys that created Castlevania.
It was. Addy, what's his name? I have it here somewhere. Adi Shankar. I don't know if I'm saying the last name right.
Yeah. So they're doing Castlevania. I think that's out already.
That is. It came out today. So, yeah.
And they've been talking about it, maybe doing another show. And I guess instead of doing a real life series, they're actually doing the anime one. Sony in talks for maybe a Baby Driver sequel. And the reason being because Baby Driver, an independent movie, has done $48 million in the box office, and it's getting great reviews.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I will. I know my brother saw it. He loved it. And this is the highest grossing Edgar Wright movie. And
Took him like 20 years to make, though. So
you know what? Edgar Wright is one of those guys that he makes fantastic movies.
He gets the stories right.
It's just they don't have a big following right out of the gate. They don't make box office, but this one did. And even Edgar Wright was talking about possibly doing it. So I don't know how I feel about that. Mind you, I haven't seen the movie yet, so it may be a hangover situation. I saw The Hangover. The first one should have just stayed a first one.
Yes.
They didn't need the sequels. Don't ruin it. Nick Fury confirmed to be in Captain Marvel's standalone movie. Makes sense. He's kind of been the connective tissue through all of them. Some conversations that have been around have been: is he going to be in just a little bit? Is he going to be in there a lot? Are they going to try to shoehorn him? Who knows? But he is confirmed for that. And also, I read it personally. I read it on the Collider Movie News website. If you haven't had a chance to, Collider Movie News or Collider.com. Great publication. They are always good with their fact checking. They have great things that go on every single day. They also have their movie talk. So, but I saw on their website, Game of Thrones released the first 3 episode names and synopsis. So of Game of Thrones coming out, I think it's the 16th. So next Sunday.
Yes,
finally getting there. Anthony, out of all of this stuff, which kind of stands out the most to you?
I think I like the Batman trilogy.
Okay.
The Assassin's Creed TV show is definitely really interesting.
Okay.
And the Game of Thrones, so that's hot topic. It's coming out soon. I can't wait for it to start.
Well, I'm just on the Collider website right now. Again, so the first episode that they have, which from what I understand is going to be directed by the same guy who did Battle of the Bastards, who directed that one. So that's already a good sign.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be called Dragonstone. And in the synopsis here, it's Jon organizes the defense of the North, Cersei tries to even the odds, and Daenerys comes home. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure you're caught up with Game of Thrones. I'm hoping that you are, but it seems to fit in. At least for a first episode, it makes sense. Jon becomes, again, spoiler, 3, 2, 1. Jon is the king of the North. Daenerys is coming with her full army and the dragons all the way to King's Landing. Cersei's on the throne.
Yeah.
So it's probably gonna be, now there's only 7 episodes in this season.
13 left in the series.
13 left altogether. So there's gonna be a lot more happening. The second one is actually the most interesting episode. I guess it's number 62, but second episode in the 7th season is called Stormborn, where Daenerys receives an unexpected visitor. Jon faces a revolt, and Tyrion plans the conquest of Westeros.
Tyrion, I can't get enough of Tyrion.
Would you say he's like your favorite character?
I like, what am I blanking on her name? The Stark girl who's like the assassin.
Arya?
Yeah, Arya. I don't know why I forgot that. I was talking about today. She's like the Batman of the Game of Thrones universe, and I love her. Yeah,
I like what they did with her. I think just towards the end of the last season, it kind of just cut and she showed up somewhere. Like there's a little bit of gray area with the House of Black and White, I think it's called. The biggest thing I see from there is that Jon faces a revolt. And the only reason is because if you go on a lot of the forums and stuff, a lot of people are thinking that there may be some tension between him and Sansa.
Oh.
He's still a bastard. Now, we as an audience know what his lineage is. Everybody else doesn't. I mean, Sam doesn't even know that he died and came back from the dead. He's off becoming a maester. So in this one, it could be a case of Sansa, a.k.a. Littlefinger, behind her, kind of planting these seeds, and I think he's going to, and saying, hey, this is a bastard. You are the rightful queen of the North. So that's I'm kind of leaning towards that one, but it could be just a revolt of the North in general, because, again, he knows what's behind the wall. A lot of people don't. The next episode 3, would be called The Queen's Justice. Daenerys holds court. Cersei returns a gift, and Jaime Lannister learns from his mistakes. Again, not too much there. I'm pretty sure with a title like Queen's Justice, a lot is going to happen. It's either going to be Queen Cersei or Queen Daenerys.
I want to see Cersei in the mountain just go ham on everyone.
Well, they're going to have to. They're going to.
And I feel like her giving a gift is not a friendly gift you'll receive on Christmas or your birthday. It's going to be something bad. I don't know.
Well, and my thing is in episode 2... No, sorry. Jaime learns from his mistakes on this one. It's at the end of season 6. He's looking at her, and I don't know how many of you have seen The Godfather, but it was a very Godfather-esque scene where he's seeing her on the throne, very much like when Kay was outside of the door and he becomes a Godfather when he said he wasn't going to, and that door closes slowly, and she kind of looks and she kind of realizes what kind of life she's going to have going forward, and it almost felt like the same thing where he's kind of looking from the balcony and saying, "What has my sister done?"
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be a Queen's Justice with Jaime. I don't know if he's going to start, he loves her. We know that he loves her. Not the best thing in the world. Don't do anything with your sisters. But, I mean, whatever you choose to do is up to you. But, yeah. But his mistakes might be his love for Cersei. His mistakes could be, learning from the fact that, or realizing that the Lannister way now may not be the right way, right? But who knows? What do you think?
I don't know. There's a lot of going on in Game of Thrones. I kind of binge watched it all, so there's a lot of characters that I know, but I don't really remember. I feel like this season's going to be one of the best because there's less episodes, lots more to do.
Yep.
I feel like the Queen's Justice, maybe, I don't think they'd kill Cersei off yet, but I think they might hint at it because, she kind of, bombed half the city. Is it a city?
Yeah, King's Landing would be,
yeah. A city, she bombed half the city. People are going to find out eventually.
And people hate her. A lot of people hate her. I mean,
I feel like I want Tyrion to take over her place, even though I doubt it will happen.
You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see Jaime be the one to do it.
Jaime? Oh.
That would be, that'd be for me, I think that'd be the craziest thing because, again, he loves her so much, but he has to kill her because she's not a good person, and he finally realized that. Assassin's Creed anime show. That's the one that stood out to me, and the reason is because
it's an anime show.
Well, not that. I'm a diehard Assassin's Creed fan to the point where I have not seen the movie.
That's a good choice
because my brother saw it. He didn't mind it, but based on what he was telling me, I'm like, okay, I don't need to see that.
It's a side mission, basically.
Yeah, and so but I don't know. I'm torn because I'm not a huge anime fan. I like some of the properties, and we're going to talk about one of the animes later on, but it's one of those things, though, that I think they might not be as held back from budget.
Because Assassin's Creed, and I felt like in the movie, I didn't like it because they kind of focused more on the human counterpart. They were focusing on the ancestry assassin, just doing assassins.
Yeah.
But I feel like in an anime, there's more action, there's more things to do. You could do all the crazy flips into hay. You could do all this stuff. So I feel like,
and there's different kinds of anime. I mean, the anime that you'll see in a Ghost of the Shell, it might be different from an anime that you'll get from a Last Airbender, right? There's different styles. But yeah, this is a show, or this concept is somebody going into a machine and through their DNA being able to go anywhere in time. That's why I love the games, because they've been able to recreate those times. So I don't know. I'm a little bit excited for it. I'll probably watch it because I'm a diehard. If they do it well, I'm eventually going to get around to watching the movie, just because I heard the actual assassin stuff was good. The stuff that, like the fighting in that they did. But again, they kept shoehorning in the modern day stuff. Yeah. So I was like, okay, the modern day stuff is cool, but I know most of it. I need to see assassins being assassins.
I'm not going to say I'm the biggest Assassin's Creed fan, but I did go to the movie with a diehard fan, and he enjoyed it for what it was. It was kind of like his Batman vs Superman in a way. He's just a big fan. So
he just liked seeing it that was there. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
But I am kind of intrigued because Adi Shankar, who's kind of making it, he's a huge Ubisoft fan. He's a huge Assassin's Creed fan, and he's actually really excited. So I feel like, coming from a big fan perspective, he'd want to do it justice, especially if he saw the movie and disliked it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if I haven't found anything from him per se just saying, hey, that we're doing it, but if he is a fan, then that makes me a little bit happier, because again, you want somebody that understands the lore, the mythos, what this thing is about. Again, the modern day stuff, they kind of screwed it up in the video games big time. And I'm hoping with the new one they're going to bring it back, but who knows. Batman trilogy.
That's exciting if it happens, because I don't know, the movie's kind of been... Well, I don't want to say it's a mess. I don't want to be like one of those news pages that just hate on the DC, but it's kind of been...
There's a lot of drama behind
exactly.
it. Yeah. And especially with Batman, when he did the Live by Night, I think that was the movie that he did, that independent one he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Didn't do very well. He was going through some other stuff. He's going to be Batman. He's not. He was writing it. Then there was all this stuff. I think it was around January, December time. Now that we're here, we know that Matt Reeves is going to do it, who has done Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War. He did not do Rise.
Oh, he didn't?
No. There's another director for that. His name is escaping me right now. So, because we talked about this last week, he wants to do his noir-driven detective one, which I think is great. He also talked about doing a tortured Bruce Wayne or Dark Knight.
As it should be, to kind of build off BVS.
Yeah, and because he was the tortured one there. But the thing is, do you think they're going to go from BVS, or do you think they might go a little bit further back with the trilogy and meet up?
I hope they kind of start with the noir one either after BVS and kind of do the middle one before. Then maybe, like, say, because Jason died or one of the Robins died, they finish it off with, like, a Red Hood storyline. Right,
and there's so much you can do with it. The one that I heard today on another podcast, it was on Movie Talk. There's a gentleman there named John Roca, and he was talking about how maybe the 3 movies tie in one
big
mystery.
Movie. Oh, mystery. That makes
and towards the end of it, revealing something, right? So he's revealing certain evidence in each movie. And it's not like you have to wait for it. Things will actually happen in these ones, but there might be one piece of connective tissue to all of them towards the very end, which I think would be incredible if they did it. But that's it for movie and TV news for this week. Again, a lot of stuff. Comment on what you're excited for out of the topics that we have. Which one? Are you excited for the Assassin's Creed anime show? Are you really excited for the Batman trilogy? And I'm pretty sure you're excited for Game of Thrones, but let us know what your thoughts are, any speculations that you have. We got some, what do we got for video games?
For video games, just to kind of piggyback off the Assassin's Creed TV show really quick, I did figure out that it would be an original story, so he wouldn't be adapting any video games.
Okay, so it'll be its own character, its own person.
And one question for you, as you are a big fan, you already said you're somewhat excited for the franchise, but if you could choose a story from any of these video games, so one day get adapted, either be live action, animated, anything like that, which would you choose?
Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
For Assassin's Creed.
Oh, for Assassin's Creed. Which of the storylines, hey?
Yeah.
Okay, so Assassin's Creed Origins is coming out in October. That one's set in Egypt. We've already gone to Spain with the movie. I wouldn't mind them doing Spain again, just because there's a lot you can do there. They've done the American Revolution, the Renaissances. I mean, Assassin's Creed 2, 3, and Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations are my favorite, but feudal Japan is probably the one most people are clamoring for. And that's the one I think I want the most. There's so much you can do there. And they kind of teased it in the Ember. There was a short that they did that lived out the remainder of Ezio's life. It was about half an hour. I think it was just called Embers. And they had an assassin from Japan there. And I think that would be incredible to do. Just the fact, the architecture, what's going on at the time, and how an assassin can fit into that world.
So speaking of how assassins are kind of all over the place, would you be interested in seeing any of the other assassins from the video games cameo in the new show?
Only if it fits, because it wouldn't make sense for Ezio, for instance, to be in Spain, or even Altair to be in Ezio's timeline, or so on and so forth. Because again, the times are always different, right? These people, the characters that you embody in the games, live and die within a time period. So if it's close enough. I mean, again, the one I was talking about. A reference, yes. And the reason is because they always reference the time before. Again, in the time where Assassin's Creed 2 was going on, they referenced Altair. Same with in Assassin's Creed 3. They were talking about Altair in that one. They were talking about Ezio. So the references for sure. I think in Origins, the new one, because it's in Egypt, there was an Egyptian assassin that they had in Assassin's Creed 2. One of the parts, you go into this tomb, and there's all these ones. There's the assassin that took down Genghis Khan, and so on and so forth. So the character that they're using is Bayek. Don't know how he's going to fit in the lore, but I mean, they know their lore.
Yeah,
it's not like it's going to be. I'm not worried about that. I'm just more worried that they do a good story. But yeah, really, if they reference it, that's always nice. It's Easter eggs, right?
Exactly. Okay, so that's about it for Assassin's Creed TV show. Moving on to one of the main discussion pieces of the show this week is our favorite video games ever of all time. So, G, why don't you start off with one of yours?
I think I mentioned it before you said the Assassin's Creed thing. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. I still play it to this day whenever I can. One of my good friends was playing it around December, and he was just telling me which parts he was in. That game was just everything, because I grew up with the Nintendo 64. That game was everything.
And what was one of the main reasons you enjoyed it so much?
The story.
Story?
Well, the story, the mythos behind it, because there's been games beforehand of Legend of Zelda games. This was the one that they finally got to 3D. They pushed the N64 to its max. But the way that the visuals worked with the story and the gameplay and everything like that, it was something like the temples that they created. The water temple being one of the most biggest pain in the asses ever. But yeah, it was pretty incredible.
For mine of all time, I'm kind of one of those new kids that are kind of, memed about a lot. I'd say MW3, just because of pure nostalgia.
Yep.
Out of all the Call of Duties, it had like lots of the fun mini games that you could just play with friends and custom, like Michael Myers, Cops and Robbers, Hide and Seek, and so much more.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it had the best game modes. It had Infected, Drop Zone, MW3 Sum, and Face Off, which was a variation of 1 vs 1, 2 vs 2, and 3 vs 3. Which was, those all should be in all Call of Duties in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it had something new than zombies. They kind of shook it up, and they had survival mode, which was interesting.
Do you, as a friend of as a fan, of that one, do you like where Call of Duty's going?
I haven't really minded it. I'll play it. I'm not a kind of hardcore fan. Yeah. For Black Ops 3, I enjoyed it. Infinite Warfare, though, I feel like they ruined it. I don't know what they did. Because in the beta, I really liked it. I thought it was looking good. But they completely ruined it, and just people stopped playing. They kind of gave up on it. I do feel like the paid DLC for weapons ruined the game, which is, they're trying to make money, though. It's fine. But
all the games are doing that now.
Exactly.
I mean, there was a meme today that I saw on Instagram where it was how I use cheat codes, and it was, I think, the Grand Theft Auto Vice City ones, R1, R2, L1, R2, left down, right up for like a health or something. And then it's like how I use cheat codes now, and it's literally a person punching in the numbers of their credit card. Yeah, that sucks.
Speaking of Grand Theft Auto and kind of paying for DLC, my currently favorite game has to be Grand Theft Auto 5. I mainly play it for online. I didn't really play the story. But reason why I love it, it's constantly fun. There are loads of game modes. New content's always coming out. And they give you free money occasionally just because, here's something, go spend it, buy weapons just for being a good player. There's always something to do. And all the DLC, except for kind of the money that you could choose to pay for, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
It's always free. So kind of giving back to the community, they're just letting it go. And it's one of the most thriving games so far, currently.
Well, it's funny because when I first bought it, I'm more of a story guy. I'm not a big multiplayer guy. So I finished the story, played it. I loved it. I've always loved all the Grand Theft Autos. I remember when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, and it was the first 3D one. But yeah, I started playing over Christmas. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to play some online. And because when I first started, I'm like, I'm getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go have fun, drive around. And then I ended up building up my guide, probably 20, 30 levels in a month or something like that. I ended up creating a meth lab, all that stuff. So that's a lot of fun. I will say, though, in terms of lately, I love my Uncharted's.
Uncharted 4 is great.
Incredible. I love my Last of Us.
I haven't beaten it yet.
Last of Us?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Got sidetracked with Legend of Zelda.
And the thing is it's got a lot of people have that battle of what is it? Is it gameplay or story that you like?
It has both.
I love my story, but that one's got a simple gameplay. It's not overly complicated. They got a very simple crafting system, but the story that they have there is incredible. Mm-hmm. But probably the best game outside of Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed has gone downhill. We talked about it last week a little bit, and I'm hoping this one is going to be a resurgence. The Witcher 3, and I think I talked about it last week as well, but I'm going to bring it up again. When we were talking DLC, The Witcher 3, when you got the game, you got a soundtrack, you got some swag with it, and it came with 2 DLCs for free that were combined around 15 extra hours or so of gameplay. And this game's already 100 hours. Mm-hmm. I love that game. And another thing we never mentioned, or I forgot to mention, was that they're planning on doing a Witcher 3 TV series
for
on
Netflix.
Yeah, I'm all for it. If
I
they
believe
can
it's
do
live
it.
action, so that's
And it's going to be amazing. That. But that's there was no there was no in-game money that you had to buy. There was none of that. It was, here's our game with your DLC, with all this stuff. For me, that's like the new gold standard for games, how it should be. But unfortunately, it's a money-making business, exactly. Right? So, but yeah, any other favorite games?
That's about it for now. Currently, hopefully this year,
some good stuff at E3. So I'm excited.
Odyssey, that's my most hyped game.
Yeah, well, God of War is another one that I've always loved, and I can't wait for the new one. Moving on now, Anthony's got some wrestling news for us.
So, in the world of WWE this week, not a lot happened according to news. But today, as I was leaving to work, it was revealed via WWE's Twitter that Austin Aries, he was one of the contenders for the Cruiserweight Champion, has been released from the WWE. This was surprising to me because, 2 weeks ago, I figured out that Akira Tozawa was going to have a title shot instead of him, which I guess makes sense now because he got released. WWE hasn't released a statement saying why he's left, but it has been speculated that he wanted to get out of 205 Live's division, which is kind of the Cruiserweight guys, but he's big enough to kind of face John Cena and all of them.
Okay, so breaking out of where he is to move on, to do his, to be his own person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But apparently WWE said no, but that's all speculation. They haven't released a full statement yet, but I feel like that makes the most sense. And also, this happened in the middle of my work. There was a live event today at Madison Square Gardens, I believe. A Madison Square Garden live event, and it was Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles for the United States Championship. And at these live shows, usually no title changes happen because it's just for fun. But occasionally they will, so they have cameras there, and AJ Styles won the title, I believe, 2 weeks before the Battlegrounds pay-per-view, which is where it was supposed to happen. So they recorded the event as far as I know, and probably this Tuesday they will release the footage. Well, that shakes it all up, and I have no idea what they're going to do for the pay-per-view. So then
so it's essentially a fluke.
Yeah, it was a fluke. Yeah, he didn't kick out.
So then how is that going to actually affect the show going forward? Would they have to change their whole slate?
I don't think they'll have to change the whole slate. For SmackDown Live, at least, I figure they'll just do a rematch either this Tuesday and Kevin Owens will win it back, or there'll be a rematch at Battlegrounds, and whatever happens.
So what was originally going to happen? What was the plan that you think that they had set out in the story that they were creating?
So this past Tuesday, there was a Battle Royale, which is a 10-man Royal Rumble, where if you get thrown out, you're out.
Oh, okay.
And AJ Styles won it to become the number one contender.
Right.
And that was set up for Battlegrounds. But, this happened. It kind of put a fluke in the whole story. I believe AJ Styles was going to win it anyway, so they might kind of just do a rematch and have him win at Battlegrounds again and retain it now, I guess. But on Raw's side, with Austin Aries kind of leaving, that was a big hitter because, I believe for about 6 months at least, 6 or 5, he was always there against Neville, the current king of the cruiserweights, as he likes to be referred to, and he was always battling him at every pay-per-view. But now he kind of just dipped the last 2 weeks, and now a new guy's in there I don't watch 205 Live. I don't know a lot of people who do, but I don't think there was any development on Raw for that.
So then why do you think WWE didn't release anything?
Didn't release anything for what?
In terms of without a word, they just kind of...
It'll probably be released later on, but maybe just for privacy right now, just kind of letting people know what's happening.
Okay, so letting everything die down and then releasing what they're going to... whatever statements they have and everything like that?
So this week we had both 2 episodes as regularly scheduled. We had Raw and SmackDown Live. I'm going to go through the Raw highlights, then the SmackDown highlights, and then my greatest title ever for a pay-per-view, Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view matches and match predictions. So for Raw, I started off with Enzo Amore by calling out his former tag team partner Big Cass after he was been attacking him for months from behind, and they finally split up again last week, but the week before they did again. It was actually a pretty good promo. A lot of people liked it. Enzo was really good on the mic as always, so it was entertaining to watch. Heath Slater came out and basically said, called out Kurt Angle saying, I haven't gotten a match in a while by accident because he was a tag team champ not so long ago. And he faced The Miz, the current Intercontinental Champion, for the title match. And it was actually really good. Lots of wrestling fans said it was Heath Slater's best match. I haven't seen a lot of them, so I can't really comment on it. But it was a really good, entertaining match. It was looking like Heath Slater would have won, but I kind of had my predictions that it wouldn't, because it was Kurt Angle came out and said it will be Miz versus Dean this Sunday, so it kind of spoiled it. But yeah, later on throughout the match, Heath Slater got distracted by the Miztourage, which is just kind of two guys going around following the Miz, distracting people. And the Miz hit him with a skull-crushing finale to retain the title. After that, a bit on, Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe had an interview before their brawl this Sunday, where Brock basically laughs off Samoa Joe, saying you're not really a threat at beating John Cena, The Rock, all these people. You're basically nothing. And basically Samoa Joe hunted him down throughout the whole show to beat the crap out of him. And then Roman Reigns ambushed Braun Strowman after he basically... Some guy tried doing a moonsault, I believe it's called, and he just kicked him straight out of the air, right into the corner of the ring. It was the funniest thing ever. That was Apollo Crews, by the way, sorry. But, so Roman Reigns ambushed Braun Strowman by hiding in an ambulance before their match this Sunday at Great Balls of Fire. For SmackDown Live highlights, John Cena returned, which is always great to see. People didn't like how he started a feud with Rusev, but they'll have a flag match at the pay-per-view Battlegrounds. Then James Ellsworth got suspended for 30 days and fined $10,000, quote-unquote, because he interfered in the Women's Money in the Bank match last week. SmackDown Women's Champion Naomi defeated Lana for the 4th week in a row, in seconds, once again to retain her title, all because her shoulders weren't down and some fan called it out, and WWE just did a squash match just to get it over with. And then AJ Styles, as stated before, won the Battle Royale to become the #1 contender for the US Championship that was held by Kevin Owens, but now is held by AJ Styles. And then we have the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view this Sunday, and the matches so far, there might be some more added, but it's Neville versus Akira Tozawa for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. I believe that Akira Tozawa will win, give someone else the title, because Neville, I don't know, I just don't like him having the title. He hasn't done really much. And Akira Tozawa is a part of the Titus brand, which is some kind of new thing they're trying out. And if he wins, it'll push that thing even further. Then afterwards, we have Enzo Amore versus Big Cass. Enzo's been getting ragdolled a lot, and by a lot, I mean like basically every week. And the fans are behind him. I feel like he's the underdog, and basically the moral of the story of him getting ambushed weekly, he'll come out, beat his former partner, and hopefully they just move on. Then we have The Miz versus Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship, which has been going on since January, so that's everyone hates that now. I believe The Miz will win because he just did it. I don't know why they just constantly switch it back. But after, I hope that Heath Slater comes back the next week or something, they start a rivalry with The Miz, and he gets a title shot and wins it. We have Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Hardy Boys for the Iron Man Raw Tag Team Championship match. I believe the Hardys will win just because Sheamus has been confirmed to leave the WWE to film a movie for a bit. And that's basically, I don't think he'd keep the title if he's going on for a couple months.
Right.
And for guys who don't know what an Iron Man match is, it's a professional wrestling match type that is set to go a specific amount of time, usually 30 or 60 minutes. I believe this one is 30 minutes, with the competitor with the most falls at the end of the time named the victor. Later on, we have Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt. I don't really care for this match, but I think it might be Bray just because he's been getting squashed a lot. He hasn't won a lot of matches, hasn't really done anything, so a win over Seth would really push him. Then we have Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. I believe Alexa because there's been rumors of her and Nia Jax at SummerSlam. They really want some more blockbuster matches, and that'd be a great one for the Raw Women title. Then, as stated earlier, we had a Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman ambulance match, and it's been back and forth with them fighting for a while, I think since January as well, or just a bit after. It's a good match though, it's always physical, which I love. I think Braun Strowman will win because it's his comeback match, and he's more physical. And the crowd always loves to see Braun beat the crap out of Roman Reigns. And if you guys don't know what an ambulance match is, there are no pinfalls, no submissions, and no disqualifications. And there is also no countouts. The absolute only way to win is to force your opponent into the ambulance and close the door. The final main event for this pay-per-view is going to be Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe for the Universal Championship. I believe Brock Lesnar, because again with rumors it's going to be Brock versus Roman at the title for SummerSlam. But in the twist of events, there have been some more people saying that Samoa Joe may get the push because a lot of people have been liking him. And that's it in the world of WWE.
And that's our WWE report. Well, before we wrap up the show, we're just towards the end of it. We have one question that we've been getting quite a bit, and I believe you also posted it on the Entertain Facts IG page. And the question is, what is our top pick for worst movie or movies if there's a few? Anthony, what is your top pick for the worst movie?
I've said this many times.
I think we talked about this before we started too, yeah.
A lot of my fans hate me for this, but it's Sausage Party. I did not laugh once throughout the whole movie, no word of a lie. I watched it, I turned to my friend, we both looked at each other like, what was that? And we just turned it off, and we were just talking smack about it the whole night.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay. Like it started strong. In the middle, it was kind of a bit of a mess, but that ending was just so absurd that I couldn't stop laughing. It was insane.
I feel like it was one of those movies that was really overhyped, and that just did it for me. And I just had no idea why everyone liked it so much. But that's my absolute top pick.
Mine would have to be, and I think some people mentioned it in the comments, which I'm super glad they did. It's a movie from a guy named Tommy Wiseau, and it's called The Room. And it's one of those movies that it is so bad, you have to see it. I mean, we're not talking bad like Batman and Robin bad. Mm-hmm. You know, that one was bad, and it's kind of like if you've seen it once, you don't ever have to see it again. This one is it's just so awkward to watch. It's weird to watch. They actually had a documentary of the cast and their lives after. It's been touring. It's got this cult following. The delivery on everyone's dialogue is awful. There are 2 or 3 sex scenes that are just awkward. Like, awkward to the point where you don't know if they're actually doing it or not because of their position. There's 2 scenes where the guy looks like he's doing it to the girl's belly button. It's absurd.
New fetish, maybe?
Oh my God. It's just, this movie from start to finish is just a marvel, the fact that it got done. I think the Tommy Wiseau is French, probably financed it himself. He wrote it, directed, produced, like all of it himself. Mm-hmm. And it is out of control bad, but you have to see it if you can.
What year did it come out? Do you know?
I think it was 2000 or something like that.
Oh,
it's an older movie, yeah. I want to say that it could have been, but yeah, that's definitely mine. What do we have? What are you getting in terms of on the page?
So in comments, I feel bad because I only got about a handful because I didn't expect it to get like 700 comments, so I couldn't go back. I did find one of someone opposing me. His name's VE3_DE3_ saying Sausage Party is the worst mainstream movie I've ever seen. It's praised for its shock value of seeing food swear and have sex. Other than the plot, it's just too odd to wrap anyone's mind around. The animation's pretty good though. But I had to go back my statement. This is a wrong comment. He did not oppose me. He backed me up.
I'm reading this. I'm like,
this guy.
This sounds pretty much like he's agreeing with everything you said.
Then there was a kind of King Blazik. It's KINGBLAZIC saying Transformers 4. No story as each movie doesn't continue on anything, and this one was so long and boring. Not even going to watch the 5th one ever. I disagree on that statement because I thought the 5th one was way better than the 4th. If it's a popcorn movie, critically, no way, but just watching those movies, don't expect a good plot. Yeah,
but if you didn't like for me, I didn't like 2, 3, and 4. I have no want or need to watch The Last Night. But let's say, for instance, some of my friends that I know, they didn't mind 2, 3, and 4. Like, they liked it.
I like 2 and 3.
Yeah, so then they'll like this newer one, maybe even more so. But
I didn't get anyone's name for these comments, but a lot of people were saying Batman vs. Superman, Fantastic Four, 2015.
Fan 4 stick.
And then there was the DC Defender saying Civil War. And then one guy came out, I don't think it got his name, but he said, if you think that Batman vs. Superman, Fantastic Four, or Civil War, or just any superhero movie is the worst movie you've ever seen, you have not seen enough movies to have a valid statement. Which I hate to agree with. Maybe Batman vs. Superman was really bad, but I don't think it was worse than the worst movie in the world. I don't think so. No way.
Well, let's put it this way: The Room has to be the worst movie in the world, and Batman v Superman was better by a mile.
Yes.
Batman and Robin is almost better than The Room, but again, The Room is one of those ones where you have to see.
Another one people didn't like that I forgot to mention was The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, people hate that one.
I didn't really watch the anime. I thought it was just a decent movie, but I could understand why people didn't like it.
I know some people that are hardcore fans of the anime. And they've told me about it before. Like, this was years ago, before the movie even came out. And then it came out, and they were just distraught. Like, everything about it was wrong. Everything that they did was just a disaster. Shyamalan all over the thing.
But then he made Split.
Then he made Split and Unbreakable, which is one of my favorite.
Was it after?
Split was obviously after, yeah. But he did Unbreakable. He had a string of decent movies, but yeah. The Last Airbender was the last straw for a lot of people. I'll put it that way.
And then we're going to close off the episode with something a bit new. We have a random fact I found on my page. I kind of scrolled a bit down. It's kind of weird, kind of funny. The WWE superstar John Cena once guest starred on the Disney show that's now canceled, Hannah Montana, in the episode titled Love That Lets Go. And in the image I posted, I showed the photo of John Cena delivering an attitude adjustment. I forgot the brother's name. Do you know his name?
One of them? No.
No, yeah. He's like the older guy who looks really young. But that's a weird fact on my page on Entertain Facts. We have a couple sponsors again for this video, or podcast, I guess. AwsmComicFacts, AwsmComicFacts. That can be found on Instagram. And then we have DailyGeekFacts, DailyGeekFacts. Both those accounts can be found on Instagram. I have been one of your hosts, Anthony.
And I'm Simply G, and those individuals that we spoke to with those pages, we're going to be having them in the description in our YouTube video. So please make sure you go over to their pages, follow them, like and support them. It helps build up the community for all of us, for everybody. So again, go to Entertain Facts. You can find more of those entertaining facts, like the John Cena one, on the Entertain Facts Instagram page.
And look out for the question of the week coming up around Wednesday.
Unless we get unless we get another review in, maybe we can try to get War of the Planet of the Apes in. We'll see.
Yes.
If not, we're going to catch you next week for episode 3. Thanks for watching.
Who knew?